Hello everybody. Let's read some hate comments. I think you lose any kind of credibility when promoting a quack acupuncturist who spews pseudoscience just because it aligns with your beliefs. I'll try remember that John Doe with no picture thinks I lack credibility. Thank you for your time. Oh yes, if I don't have a picture, the quack you promote becomes legitimate. That's a nice demonstration of basic logic. No, John. That's a terrible demonstration of basic logic. Clearly you can't follow a conversation. All I was saying was that I'll try remember that you think I lack credibility, which is what you said. You started your sentence with, I think you lose any kind of credibility, meaning John Doe thinks I lose credibility. I didn't know he was an acupuncturist, and I used that clip because his beliefs align with my own, and therefore it made more sense to show him saying it than to re-record myself saying it. That would be plagiarism. I know I've never made this very clear, but I think that most answers to the questions asked on YouTube can be found on YouTube. There's so much information out there, and so the reason that I actually use a lot of clips of the people is because that's generally why I came. I didn't really ever want to do these commentaries. I always thought that other people had much more credibility than me. It made more sense to show a scientist telling you science than for me to just, talk in my normal way about general science. It made a lot more sense to me to show you somebody who knows about nutrition talking about nutrition than for me to tell you the bit of information that I happen to have on nutrition. Is that fair? We don't all have to be fucking college lecturers, just to have a YouTube channel. You're crazy. Okay, so here is basically the script of my next video that you see in front of you. And then that guy says, well, I applaud your honesty and offer my own. I disagree entirely with your premise that we all agree factory farming is bad, as if it is somehow the alternative is so much better it is worth promoting, and certainly you can't expect vegans to eat these animals that were killed friendlier. We oppose the very notion of that. Well, that guy, I never once said that vegans should not be vegan. I think I've been very clear in my videos that you go be vegan and just leave us alone. We know what we're doing. I think with the information that I have provided, I have justified my own existence, the way that I have chosen to live. I've chosen my path in an educated light, and I've taken as much time as possible to make sure that I do the right thing. Now, I did put in there actually one thing that I am going to change, which is I choose never to be vegan until the law changes. What I should clarify that as is I will never change. I will never be vegan, because in my lifetime the law will never change to the degree at which it will force a person like me to be vegan. However, the laws will change over time and veganism will become more popular. I disagree entirely with your premise that we all agree factory farming is bad, as if somehow the alternative is so much better. Well, the alternative to factory farming is so much better. But that has nothing to do with the fact that we all agree factory farming is bad. Those two things, it doesn't compute as a sentence, that guy. Okay? We all agree factory farming is bad. We don't all agree that the alternative is so much better, as you put it. We should, but that's on you. However, can you see where I'm coming from? Those are two separate sentences. You people are always coming at me with all this fancy language and you can't even string a sentence together. Do you know how often this is happening? I'm really sorry, Darren, because I know you take these videos to heart. You really can't take criticism very well, I'm aware of that. But oh my god, if you don't find this funny, you are not my people. Wow, I didn't know you were telepathic, retard. Darren uses big words because he thinks it makes him sound smart. Yeah, totally sound abduction to make. You're a joke. Edit. Contextually, abduction, the logical definition, you ignorant, arrogant spastics, means an incomplete inference, one that cannot prove a conclusion, so soundness is key for an abduction to be valid. I hate these stupidly long ones. He is not just talking about accepting it as in fighting or not fighting. It would seem odd to fight if you recognise that higher intelligence beings have the moral right to eat lower intelligence species. What are you on about with the rights? Why do you people keep conflating reality with rights? Didn't I say this in my first video? Rights are a human construct. Fucking morons. Would it not be immoral? Where does oh yeah, it's a moral argument, okay. Would it not be immoral of you to resist what? The necessary sustenance of a more intelligent species? Well, they can only prove they're more intelligent by catching me, surely that's fair. You should obviously resist morally the attack of a less intelligent species. What? No, obviously you would expect less intelligent species to lash out at you, wouldn't you? I don't understand that paragraph. There's either a lot wrong with it, or you're just talking in riddles. I can't say I'm bothered. The issue here is, would you accept the morality of it? Obviously I accept the morality of it. I eat meat, so obviously I accept the reality of it. Why do you people keep asking this question? You all think that none of us have even heard of, like, a cow before. I live next door to the fucking cows that become... Later on I'm having a stir-fry again. Like, a steak stir-fry, I should make that clear. It's got lots of vegetables in it. It's got a bit of meat. That's happening as soon as I finish this video. Let's suppose these aliens could live on a planet on... Oh, sorry. Let's suppose these aliens could live on plant matter but choose humans for the taste. And this is where I don't listen to you anymore, dude. I'm not having a steak stir-fry for the fucking taste. I don't really want to talk about my own personal issues, but it's fair to say I'm the fussiest eater you've ever met in your life. That's all you need to know. That's all I'm willing to tell you. Fuck you, alright? This is reality. Deal with it. Grow up. If your position is that it's justifiable to consume meat from cow-calf operations because the animals will suffer less than they would in the wild, your position is absurd and inconsistent. I assume that your position is absurd and inconsistent, Lewis, because cows wouldn't live very long in the wild for a start, since they are kind of about as man-made as dogs at this point. And obviously the wild is inconsistent. I don't understand why my position is absurd, though, I'll be honest. Okay, so continuing. This is assuming that they would in fact suffer less in the first place. What? If your position is that it's justifiable to consume meat from cow-calf operations because the animals will suffer less than they do in the wild, your position is absurd and inconsistent. This is assuming that they would in fact suffer less in the first place. What? Why is it assuming that? What? Oh, are you saying that... No, I don't understand what you're saying. What first place? They're not even going to be born. How do you not get this? They're only born because there's value in the meat. Oh my god. You are deciding the animal's lifespan. I'm deciding that these animals get a lifespan. If it was up to you, they'd never be born. So it comes down to that choice. Would you rather be born or not born? Nobody can actually make that choice. Somebody has to make it for them. In my position, I'd rather have not been born. I'm sure I'm just a one-off. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of you that, given that choice, would prefer to have been born. I'm trying to think of this objectively, because if I thought about it from my own perspective, there wouldn't be any life on this planet, because I consider it to be pretty much just torture. Anyway, where are we? Deciding an arbitrary amount of well-being justifies robbing them of all possible future well-being. What possible future well-being? I don't understand. You can't just say these things. Substitute the animal with mentally disabled children of the same sentience. Here we go. They've got the argument right, at least. And you support their quote unquote Holocaust. Like, I actually saw a girl who rides a cow. I've mentioned this before. She keeps her cow as if it's a horse, right? There are people that keep them as pets. There are people that keep them for milk. There's all kinds of... And, you know, there's people who keep pigs as pets. There's loads of people who keep pigs as pets. They're not all being butchered. And so, yeah, then you turn around and say, does that justify it? Because there's just one or two. Those one or two are one or two more than what there are in the fucking wild. Now, when it comes to pigs, alright, there's wild boars. They look pretty healthy. They get hunted. They're very fucking dangerous animals. It's about as close as we can come to, like, a competitor on the food chain. Not that they want to eat us, but they would definitely kill us given the chance. Insane fuckers, to be honest. Completely different from pigs. But yeah, pigs probably won't last very long. Mentally disabled children probably wouldn't last very long. The value of them, I suppose, is in the love that they give to their family. I don't know, there's a certain kind of twisted logic where people think that if they were in that situation, they'd probably prefer to live. Again, I'm looking at this objectively, I don't know. Obviously, in my case, I would like to not live. I carry a donor card with me everywhere I go because, you know, if I get hit by a bus and I'm brain damaged, they'll take my organs, they will kill me, basically, so that they can get my organs. That's the only reason I'm a donor. Don't think I give a shit about where these organs go, I just want them out of my body. Just take them, take the heart, that's one of the most important ones. Do not take the brain, just let the brain die. The brain's had a good run. No, I'm joking. I love being alive, really. But only because I know it will end one day. Jesus. When it comes to this Holocaust thing, I can't accept it. I see it as it's needless birth. We are birthing these things into this life. It's not that we're rounding them up and killing them. They never had a chance in the first place at this long lifespan that you guys seem to think that they had. It was either, the choice was basically they either were not going to be born or they would be born for meat. Those were the only two choices. And I'll be honest, if I'm being real honest, given that choice, I would rather have that short life than no life at all. Obviously that is me being super honest. Usually I like the joking version where I say that, you know, the nihilistic version that people enjoy to take the piss out of so much. I mean, it's more logical, let's be fair. It's much more logical to be nihilist. But no, I assume that society came from nihilistic beginnings, right? At the start it was basically kill or be killed, and then we got an economy, and then we got medicine, and suddenly the farming industry was like the heart of everything. It's like the beating heart of everything, and I don't think you college boys understand quite how important it is, but maybe you will one day, I don't know. By then, obviously, you'll been vegan for ages, and eat your heart out. You go be vegan. I've never had a problem with it. The non-absurd option is to live in a way that seeks to abolish their suffering and exploitation at our hands altogether. Right, this will happen over time, okay? Laws change over time. Things do not just happen, okay? It's not just like, oh, let's stop killing animals. Right, animals have stopped being killed. No, it doesn't happen like that. It's like, okay, this practice should be abolished. Okay, now this practice over here should be abolished. And suddenly there's only one or two ways, alternatives of keeping and killing these animals. It's become much more limited. It becomes like a bottleneck. And then certain people can't do it that way. Certain businesses just become illegal, such as factory farming. You can't take the calf away from the cow until it's, you know, whatever age. I don't care about the details because this is not going to happen in my lifetime, and it's especially not going to happen unless we all work together. And I'm still eating meat. I'm not a vegan, but I understand where you're coming from. I think this is the part that you don't understand, is that none of us are happy with the whole death, murder, whatever part, yeah? Nobody likes that. It's just something that we've come to terms with and you haven't. I think that's the only problem. Yeah, the rest of the conversation's there if you want to read it. And the old multi-generational argument. Yeah, that is kind of the only way to find out if it's a good idea for a society, mate. It's multi-generational. Can't you at least come up with something new? No, I'm not a scientist, mate. This crap is so bad that most people are smart enough not to use it anymore. What? Multi-generational is literally the only way you can find out if it's any good for a society. What do you mean? You can say that about anything. Yeah, they do say that about anything, fucking moron. That's... oh my god, that's insanity. They do say that about drugs. They do say that about new procedures. They do say that about new materials. So why can't we say it about diet? What the fuck is your problem? Right, I actually do know a girl in real life who came over to me, because I may or may not have mentioned previously that I'm surrounded by vegans in real life. And this one particular girl came over to me and she was really happy, and she said, since going vegan, I only get a period once every 2 months now. As if that is somehow a good thing. And I was obviously a little bit shocked, a little bit kind of worried for her, you know, being as I'm an adult and this girl's, what, 18, maybe 19. And she's like, oh yeah, it's fine. I didn't push it, you know, it's her body, she can do whatever she wants with it. But that scared me a bit for her. Even if it doesn't scare her, I'm worried. Right, I'm just going to end on one small part of Connor, because Connor is an insane person. We were talking about the fact that in America they consume far too much of literally everything, because they're greedy motherfuckers. And for some reason Connor thinks that I'm now in charge of America's meat consumption. I don't know why he would think that, but we've got to this point. How much meat are you suggesting people eat? Do you think people will be happy having you restrict the amount of meat they're allowed to eat? Where do you get these wild ideas? Where did that accusation come from, Connor? That makes no sense. He goes on, it's a ramble, I'm not going to bother reading it, and I just put, I'd try education. As in, I don't know why he didn't understand this, but I can understand why you wouldn't, because I've taken this whole section out of context. What I was saying was, I'd try educating the population that such a high quantity of meat intake is clearly bad for them. Yeah? You don't have to go completely vegan, you just have to reduce the amount of meat you're eating, you fat bastards. So Connor's like, what is that even supposed to mean? And I totally don't know why, but he takes everything real personal. So even though a minute ago we were talking about, you know, an entire population, suddenly he's like, are you suggesting that I could answer these questions by educating myself? If that's what you're saying, then why don't you educate me by answering the questions? The answer to the question, Connor, is education. You fucking moron. I was suggesting that we should educate the population. We should tell them about diet. How are you such an insane person? You take literally everything as a personal attack. There's so many more of Connor. I could do an entire video on the shit that comes out of this guy's mouth. Like I said before, I don't give him the time of day anymore. But I do enjoy taking the piss out of him, so it's good for something. It was a bit of fun, wasn't it? Let's be honest. It's always nice having a conversation with somebody on the internet, but when they're unreasonable, the best thing to do, I guess, is just put them on blast, yeah? Just show you guys how unreasonable they are, because there's no talking to these people, so let's just share in the stupidity, eh? Let's just enjoy it together. Have fun, guys. See you next time.